Here's a look at the Heisman Trophy finalists. 3 quarterbacks, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., Jayden Daniels, and there is 1 wide receiver in the mix in Marvin Harrison Jr. The winner will be announced during a live telecast Saturday night in New York City. You know, it was really interesting to see the betting market react to championship weekend in college football. Going into the Pac-12 title games, Bo Nix was the favorite over Jayden Daniels, but those shifted significantly towards the LSU quarterback after what took place in Las Vegas. And as it stands right now, Jayden Daniels minus 1,400 to come away with it when it's all said and done. All right, let's welcome in Late Kick host Josh Pate to have him make a case for each of the 4 finalists this weekend and then give us his pick. So this is in no particular order, Josh. Let's start with Jayden Daniels here out of LSU, second player in SEC history, 35 or 100 or more passing yards and 1,000+ rushing yards in a season. The only other to do it was Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, and basically, Tommy, if I were to just take like a dividing line and put it down the middle of a piece of paper, his quarterback stats over here, passing, are amazing. All right, those alone warrant Heisman consideration. Then over here are his rushing statistics, which if I attach them to a running back, would get this running back serious consideration for all SEC teams. And so I think if I combine the two, and we're trying to crown the most outstanding player in college football instead of just someone who racked up wins and whose team earned the accolades, then I got to go with Jayden Daniels. They haven't had that kind of season down there, obviously, since the guy on the left side of the screen, Joe Burrow. And I don't have to compare the two. You can come short of Joe Burrow and still be absolutely in the Heisman mix. So give me Jayden Daniels.
All right, let's talk about Washington's Michael Penix Jr. He leads the FBS in passing yards. He would be the first player to win the Heisman Trophy in Washington school history. Pate, make the case for him.
Well, I look at the win and loss column, and I think about how my offense had to operate if I was Washington. Jacqueline, I didn't even have much of a ground game until the very end of the season. It was that guy that had to pull the trigger for me. And by the way, I saw them in person twice. One of the most impressive games he played this year was actually in the rain and cold up in Corvallis, Oregon, against Oregon State. And that wasn't a game where his stat sheet was lit on fire, but it was a game where I think he overcame probably more than any of these other guys had to overcome from an elemental standpoint in any game this year. And I also think that, look, at the end of the day, man, it's about a quarterback that can lead his team to victories, and Michael Penix did that. So I guess give me Michael Penix.
On the flip side, what about Bo Nix, Josh?
So, Tommy, I want to ask you, over 4 quarters of football, did the whole world really change Friday night and Saturday? I mean, he was the favorite, and then he plays himself a pretty good game, and Jayden Daniels sits at home, and all of a sudden Jayden Daniels just skyrockets in the odds market. And if I'm Bo Nix, I got to be thinking, would I have not been better served selfishly and individually to just prop my feet up and go sit at home and rest on my laurels? It's not my fault, Tommy, that I was so good this year, that I took my team to the Pac-12 championship game. And look, I mean, I think I performed plenty admirably enough in that contest, and I am absolutely speaking in the person of Bo Nix at the moment, to where I shouldn't have gone from minus 150 to the guy who didn't play a game being in the minus 1,000s. How does this even work?
So the only non-QB in the conversation, Marvin Harrison Jr., a huge playmaker for the Buckeyes, breaking records there at Ohio State. 8 straight games with a receiving touchdown, just one of those school records. Pate, for a wide receiver to get this award, make the case for Marvin Harrison.
All right, now look, this is going to hurt some feelings, but I, Marvin Harrison, have to look out for me since I'm on the air representing myself here. And Jacqueline, I was playing with a quarterback that didn't even perform well enough to stay out of the portal after the season was over. I had no shot. I was never going to put up the kind of individual numbers that maybe some of the preview magazines said, but I still put up big numbers. And in that Penn State game, for example, when no one was really moving the ball and we needed to move the chains, it was me that we came to. And games with 100 receiving yards, even with the lack of a true prolific Heisman caliber quarterback like I normally have at Ohio State, I was still first. I did it like every week, and I've done it my whole career here. So I ask other defensive coordinators around the country, if you gave me Bo Nix, if you gave me Michael Penix, Who would you rather face less at my position than anyone in the country? I think I deserve to be in New York City, and I think I deserve to be on the stage hoisting the trophy at the end of the night.
So Josh Pate has made the case for all the 4 finalists. I think you did hint at it just a little bit here, Josh, but what do you think in terms of the Heisman Award and who eventually, and not exactly who eventually will win, but if you had your choice, if you had your druthers, who would the Heisman winner be?
It's going to be a good year for me, Tommy. Some years I vehemently disagree, and some years, in fact, most years, I don't love the process that we go through to get to this, but my guy's going to win this year. Jayden Daniels is going to win this year because I look at the definition of the award, and we are crowning the most outstanding player in college football. I think without him, you know, everyone wants to talk about the fact that they lost 3 games. I'd ask you, without him, what would they have been? Because remember, there were a lot of games where defensively they were non-existent this year, and if they did win, it was him and that offense having to score 40, 45, 50. He kept them in games they lost as well, but I think about everything he was as a passer, and that was good enough. And then when you add in what he was as a runner, I mean, it qualifies as legitimate RB1 type production. He was 8.4 yards per carry, over 1,100, I believe, on the ground. Just a prolific player in every sense of the word. Jayden Daniels. Tommy, he was the guy that I was even going to vote for before Conference Championship weekend. So I didn't change my mind. Everyone else did. The odds market changed, and I look at it as them coming to hang out with me rather than me selling out and going to hang out with them at the 11th hour.
That's crazy. People could have gotten in like you and got some plus money on Jayden Daniels, and it's funny to think that Oregon and Washington was not only a CFP eliminator, it looked like it was a Heisman eliminator,
right,
in terms of the odds market. So Josh, certainly appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on HQ. Check out Late Kick with Josh Pate. You know, this quarterback award has been, Heisman Award, should say, that's the Freudian slip there, has been dominated by quarterbacks. 11 of the last 13 have been signal callers, but we do know that a wide receiver did win recently with Alabama's Devontae Smith.